everyone, welcome back to JesterBell, and hopefully I'm finally coming out of the drugged out stupor that I've been in for the past few videos. And so now what you're hearing is videos that I had intended to do for a while now, but I couldn't, so there's kind of a backlog. But I want to talk about Wish, and once again, this is a late video. I'm a late topic on this, but you know, Wish was just such a disappointment from Disney, and it never recovered at the box office in the way that Elemental did. It was just such a failure all around, and I've seen it twice now, and I just, you know, the second time I was just mainly bored through it. It just was not engaging to me on any level, and just so many obvious things fell apart with the movie. But there was one part of the entire movie that I really liked that I wanted to highlight. It was the song At All Costs, and it's pretty big for me to be mentioning that one of the songs is what I really liked about it, because people are calling Wish saying that it has one of the worst Disney soundtracks of all time. But, you know, this song during the movie At All Costs, like, it's amazing the emotional reaction that it got out of me. I almost teared up a little bit during the song, and even though I just did not feel anything, I just felt so bored through the rest of the film. But this song At All Costs, I've been reading up on the behind the scenes of Wish and what went on behind the scenes, and apparently there's a couple things that we need to be aware of. First of all, the song At All Costs was written before Wish was even made, at least before the scripted version of the one that made up to theaters got released. And the writer of the song wanted it to be like a song that would play at weddings. It wanted to be a viral song. But you need to keep that in mind when we're also talking about what the original version of Wish was going to be, and that's been going around from the art book and the original plans for it. There were things like Asha was going to meet the star, who would be like a star boy, and there would be a romantic connection between them. So the star was originally going to have a human form, and he'd have a romantic connection with Asha. And meanwhile, the king and queen, they were both going to be villains. You were going to have the very first Disney villain power couple ever. And but there were changes from that. And the original lyrics, you should listen to the original demo for the song At All Costs. It is 100% a love song. Instead of saying promise at all costs, it says love you at all costs.
I wanna promise as one does. I will protect you at all costs. I wanna love you as one does. I will protect you at all costs.
Clearly, that song, At All Costs, was meant to, at some point, be between Asha and Starboy, because just listen to a little bit of it. You can hear the song where it's the boy singing to the girl, and she responds to that.
At all costs, at all costs.
What's pain when I look at you? No way.
At all costs.
Wow. What's pain when I look at you? No way.
That was clearly supposed to be a love song between the two. And you can see changes it used to be Magnifico and his wife would both be villains. They would both be very powerful sorcerers, and that they would be both very dangerous. But in the movie version, only Magnifico is the villain, and he's terrible, and his wife is kind of the person who turns out to be good. But I just have such a problem with these changes that they made, because I feel like a lot of it was because Disney has been afraid to give its princesses a love interest. And if you think I'm wrong on there, keep in mind, this is pointed out from Mari on Twitter, that a Disney princess has not had a love interest in a film since 2013. Frozen, Anna, Kristoff. That was 10 years ago. None of their princesses have had love interests. And listen, sometimes it's okay in a story if you don't have a love interest. It's not always necessary. You should not always adhere to the same trope. As we see with Elsa, I think that is a character that doesn't need a love interest, that isn't motivated by one, and Mirabel from Encanto is another one that I think that she works very well without a love interest. Her story is about her family. It was very tight. She did not need a love interest. But when I look at the behind the scenes of Wish, I'm like, this story sounds great. This sounds really interesting. And I'm seeing like fan fiction being made over this original version and people coming up with their ideas and people saying like really like how much they love the song At All Costs. And I'm like, you could have really had something here. Because it seemed that people really, really like this original version. And the idea of a power couple would have been great. Because once again, we've never seen that from a Disney movie before. And I think what happened was they didn't want to have the female character be the villain. Disney wants to promote female role models. I'm like, you can promote female role models, but don't be afraid to let us be the villains. Like, Disney just has some of the most famous female villains of all time. Maleficent, the Wicked Queen, Ursula, just the most famous, most iconic villains. It would have been so fitting if for their anniversary they had like a really great female villain. Like what I'm thinking about for this movie, just taking it all together, the fact that the writer of At All Costs wanted it to be a love song to be played at weddings, well, you need to connect it to a love story that people really like in the first place, and you could have done that between Asha and the Star Boy. Like, you could have had, my mind is just exploding with all these ideas of what the movie could be. Like, you could have had Asha actually be the sorcerer's apprentice, and maybe she knows a little magic, but she is not powerful enough, and she sees these things going on behind the scenes of how the king and queen are taking control, so she wishes on a star who comes down to help her, and then they have a duet of At All Costs, and then maybe later Starboy might sacrifice himself and some of his power. You know, the classic, the character sacrifices himself and then comes back later so that Asha has enough power to defeat the king and queen, and then maybe you have it so that the king seems like the big bad and then he's defeated, and maybe his wife has just been whispering things behind the scenes, but then she reveals that she has been using the dark magic from the book and that she has this power that they wouldn't expect, and you have a big fight against her, you know, like the traditional, you know, Disney ending, like from Maleficent turning into a dragon. You have that big fight against her. You could have just had such a good movie and just, you know, on so many levels, and I can just see people interested in what the original version was. And you know, once again, no problem if you have a female character or a protagonist who doesn't have a love interest, but that shouldn't mean, like, just because you're trying to get away from that original trope doesn't mean that you can't have a female character that has a love interest when you have a good idea for it. And this is a case where I think that they had a really, really good idea for it, and they shouldn't have run away with it. They should have stuck with it. But I really hope that Disney learns its lesson from all of this, because Wish just failed so spectacularly. They need to actually listen to their audience, understand who their audience is, and listen to their audience so that they can make the best films possible, and so that we can get films like Tangled and Frozen again that were really good, so they're not shying away from their actual good ideas. But I feel really bad that we were deprived of like a great new female villain and a great new relationship from Disney, and a great new soundtrack, because even that song, I think, would have been a lot better if they went with the original version. But that's all I got for you guys today. What do you guys think about what could have been with Disney's Wish? Let's sound off in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.